I'm Markia.
Want to hear something scary?
Skondhokata, the headless ghost. Dia stood on the platform patiently waiting for the night train. It was always late. As usual, the station was deserted. As she looked up at the full moon, she realized just how eerie it was. She got out her cell to distract herself from the ominous silence. She looked up from Clash of Clans and noticed movement on the tracks. Dia moved closer to the edge of the platform, hoping it was a deer and not a potential mugger. Using the flashlight on her cell, she peered down the tracks and was horrified to see it was a person. "Hey," she called out. In the darkness, she could only really make out the silhouette of a shortish-looking person with their back to her. Without turning around, they replied, "Help me." Dia panicked. Someone asking for assistance, yet she couldn't clearly see who they were and how she could get down to help them. Instead of immediately descending from the platform, she asked, "What do you need help with?" The person was now bent over on their hands and knees, and their answer came in a frantic tone.
"Please, I've lost it. I can't find it. Help!"
The voice was female. Dia peered down the tracks and couldn't see or hear any evidence of an approaching engine. Gingerly, she made her way over to the shadowy figure, casting the light from her cell onto the tracks. Her stomach began to churn the closer she got, but she ignored her intuition. The person was still on all fours, scrambling about, looking for something on the ground, something on the tracks. They raised an arm, beckoning Dia towards them. She edged closer as a strange smell caused her nostrils to flare. She moved her phone so the beam of light hit the person, but it seemed to go right through them. Her heart sped up as they began to rise. "What are you she began, but froze mid-speech when the figure finally turned around, revealing its true and hideous form. Dia had been correct in assuming the person was female and short, mainly because, although it should have been impossible, her head was missing. Her clothing was old and ragged, and from the neck down, dripping in blood. It was a Skondhokata, a headless ghost, believed to be the spirit of those who died in a train accident from being decapitated. They are always searching for their missing heads. This one was pleading with Dia to help. She knew they could attack humans, make them slaves in the search for their lost heads. Dia needed to run, to get off the tracks and away from this entity. No good had ever come from conversing with the Skondhokata. But she was paralyzed, unable to move a muscle. The spirit came closer, the sulfuric smell causing Dia to gag. And then she looked at the gravel, vibrating on the tracks, and felt the ground beneath her feet begin to rumble. She heard the sound of the approaching train, saw the lights from the front of the engine get closer. "No!" she screamed, the dawning realization of her deadly location hitting her like a sledgehammer. She screwed her eyes shut and threw up her hands, but it was too late to run. Even the poor conductor didn't see her. She stood up after the train had gone by, momentarily wondering why she couldn't see. Maybe she'd gotten dust in her eyes. As she reached up to rub them, her hands passed through the empty space. Sinking to her knees in anguish, she understood. She hadn't survived the train. She'd become a Skondhokata. Dia's head remained attached to the front of the train for miles before it finally dropped off onto the tracks near an empty station. To this day, late at night, passengers riding the train will swear they see a woman walking about in search of something, but never sure what it is that she's looking for.